Welcome back, travelers, to another video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Stef and I love giving travel advice to people who are coming here to Peru so they stay safe and they have an authentic, amazing experience. I got inspired to do a video series on culture shocks when traveling to Peru. And right now I'm thinking of covering Lima. I'm not sure how this will extend to other parts of Peru. In this first video, I wanted to talk about noise pollution because I touched on that a little bit in that previous video. So if I posted that video, it'll be linked up here because it was a really long video and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to post this long video, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to talk about noise pollution in Lima because you guys, it is out of control over here. And I just wanted to share a little bit about that. I'm not an expert on the matter, but the other day, like a week or so ago, while I was walking past the living room and the TV happened to be on and there was a news channel on, I overheard them talking about noise pollution in Lima and how the people that live around Parque de la Exposición. By the time you watch this video, I should have hopefully uploaded a video on Parque de la Exposición for you up here. But yes, the people that live near Parque de la Exposición, they were complaining about the crazy noise outside of their homes because there usually is some kind of event or festival, whatever, happening at Parque de la Exposición, and they'll have bands or singers or whatever kind of music out there. They will have the music on blast. And on top of that, there are buses going by the area. We know from previous videos where I've mentioned how the bus drivers here, or just drivers in general, they love honking their horns. It's their favorite pastime here. So the music that's coming from Parque de la Exposición during those special events, plus the crazy incessant honking that happens on the streets of Lima, has made these neighbors' lives a living hell on the weekends, especially because they cannot get any sleep and because their poor little fur baby animals are, being stressed out by all the noise. Animals are really sensitive to loud noises and it's just too much for these animals. And some of these neighbors are being affected in their everyday lives because the noise coming from these areas doesn't allow for them to sleep properly. And so they wake up feeling tired, they go to work feeling exhausted, and it's a never-ending cycle. And even though they wear earplugs or they've taken special teas to help them to fall asleep or medication to help them fall asleep, it still doesn't help because the noise coming from areas like Parque de la Exposición are just so loud, right? So I just really wanted to do this video on noise pollution because I think that this is a major culture shock that you might encounter when you're here traveling around Peru, especially in Lima. Even right now as I'm recording, I can hear the buses honking really, really loud. I mean, I don't think that this mic can grab the sound, but they're really, really loud. And I remember when I first moved to Peru, it was just too much for me because I grew up, hopefully this is recording. Hopefully it's working now. But yeah, I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Charlotte is a pretty much relatively quiet place. It's not a huge bustling city like New York or Lima or whatever. And so when I came here, it was the polar opposite, so much noise. And I literally had to walk around the streets just covering my ears because even then it's just too much. I'm really sensitive to those things. According to the news story that I overheard the other day on TV, they were talking about how healthy levels of noise in the streets should be somewhere, I don't know what they said, around 40 or 50 decibels or whatever the measurement is. And in a lot of places in Lima, it's double that. And when they measure the noise coming from places like Parque de la Exposición, when they have a special concert event happening and stuff, it will go all the way up to sometimes 120 decibels, right? That's what the neighbors have reported that they've measured because they have gone out of their way to purchase the special tools to measure the noise coming from their neighborhood, from that area, and in order to formally file a complaint and stuff. And as I was doing a little bit of research right now on noise pollution in Lima, it's not a topic that I think has been heavily covered because I didn't find really great articles or web pages to really read. But more or less, they say that they've approved like noise levels in different areas of Lima because they know that certain parts of Lima are louder than most. And so let's say that the standard, for example, is 40 or 50 decibels, but they know that in this part of Lima, it's louder than that. So they're going to allow 70 decibels in this area of Lima, right? But even still, that's still way too high. But because this is the standard, the norm, like, I don't even know how to explain it at this point without speaking ill of my country, the people here. It's never my intention to paint Peru in a negative light, but I speak the truth, and the truth isn't always what you want to hear, right? And the truth isn't always gonna make Peru seem like the best country ever. Because the truth is that we have a lot of crap here that needs to be fixed. And when I become dictator of Peru, I will keep mentioning it in all of my videos. Hashtag benevolent dictator Stef. I'm manifesting this. I don't really know if I want to be a dictator actually, but if I were ever, I think I would do a pretty damn good job. All I'm saying is y'all need to vote for Stef when I run for the election someday. And you will know by then that I'm planning on being a dictator, so I'm just letting y'all know. But yeah, so back to what I was saying is that I think that people here are so conditioned to shitty circumstances that they're like, well, this is a shitty situation or circumstance, but it could be worse. And they just accept the shitty situation rather than demand that shitty situation be corrected to what is right. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I feel, is like, if a healthy level of noise is around 40 or 50 decibels, but certain areas of Lima are louder than most, the government officials or the municipalities or whoever's in charge, then increase the number of decibels allowed in that area only because they know, like, well, it's going to be loud anyway. So if it's going to be loud, then it can only be this max. You know what I mean? Instead of enforcing the people to stay around 40 or 50 so that everyone is okay. Does that make sense? Like, this is the mentality that I see here a lot. And it gets on my nerves because I feel like I'm such like a correct person in certain things, especially. Like, I'm just like, no, this is the right thing to do. You do the right thing. Like, I don't understand. It doesn't compute in my brain to not do it the right way. So this is what I mean. When I take over Peru, I mean business. We're not going to be having this. So yeah, I feel like this is what happens here, right? So from reading these websites that I recently read up on to do this video, they were saying that even though they've increased the noise amount or whatever it is to 70 decibels or 80 decibels or whatever, a lot of times when they go and measure the sound in these areas, it's still higher than what is allowed. You know what I mean? So it just gets worse and worse and worse. And this is probably why the poor people that live near Parque de la Exposición, they're dealing with what they're dealing with, because obviously people here don't care enough to like correct this. And I think at this point, the reason that the noise pollution has gotten so out of control, so out of hand, is because it's just what everyone else does. There's a mentality, a mindset of like, you look around and see what people are doing here and you do the same. And I know that this isn't just specific to Peru, because this is the herd mentality that's present in all countries on some level. You know, people are like, monkey see, monkey do. I'm going to go with what everyone else is doing a lot of times. But that's just what I have come to see here, because even Venezuelans who have immigrated here, who end up working as taxi drivers, they have told me in the past that they don't really have that culture to be like that aggressive and that loud in Venezuela. But because everyone else is doing it here, and this is kind of like the way that you get heard here on the streets, is you have to be loud. You know, it's kind of like an argument where two people are yelling to see who can yell the loudest kind of situation. And that's what I see here in Peru. So because these Venezuelans have come here, they see what's happening on the streets, they see that they have to be more aggressive, they have to be loud, they end up imitating that as well. And they end up contributing to the hot messness of what is happening here, you know? And I don't like this. I don't think it's something that I'll ever get used to, because I love my peace and quiet, and certain parts of Lima are worse than others. And I think for those of you who are traveling here, 9 times out of 10, you're pretty safe in that you're not going to really experience how bad the noise pollution is here, because there are certain places in the city center of Lima that has certain tourist like landmarks or whatever for people to go and visit. So when you go to those places, you will be exposed to some noise pollution potentially from all of these drivers on the streets. But even what you're exposed to is nowhere near as bad as other places that I have been to around Lima, because I got family that lives in like really low income parts of Lima, as maybe you have seen from past videos. I'll link a couple up here or whatever. And those places are like totally different countries almost. I remember the first time I went to go visit my dad earlier this year, after not having gone to his house in like a really long time, maybe a year or something. When I went and I got to this one part of my journey where I had to like get off a bus and go on to another bus to go the rest of the way to his house, I got to like a really big intersection kind of situation, right? And there's like all these buses coming and going. There's all these people like ambulantes, street vendors going, lots of people coming, you know, to and from on the street because it's a very populated area. And so there's like all this stimulation, all this stuff happening. And I felt so overwhelmed. It was kind of that feeling that I think a lot of us experience after the end of the pandemic, when we finally started being able to get out of our houses and interacting with people, and you're getting used to like being around so many people again, but it feels so weird and it feels like a lot because you've been used to just being at home for so long. It really felt like that. Like I was used to the everyday hustle and bustle of like Lima where I live, you know, which is normal amounts. But then I went to my dad's and it was like off the charts, where I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to get run over. I'm going to die. It's just too loud here. I can't focus. Like, oh my God, let me try to get this bus so I can go and get out of here. Like it was a lot. And I had never felt that way that I can remember. Or I don't know, it had been a really long time since I had felt that way. So I think that this is one of the biggest culture shocks that you can experience here. I don't want to hear no complaints from none of y'all who think you have noise pollution in your first world countries, because some of y'all, listen, I have realized people of privilege, they don't know the privilege they have. They're just, I don't know, they don't realize. And I cannot stand when people from privileged places complain about things in their area, because it's like, you don't even know how it is out here. Like, travel to those places and then go back to your home country and you will see you got it good. So that's something that I wanted to talk about today. It's just like the noise pollution here is out of control. Sometimes the little earplugs are not enough, although generally they should be, but sometimes it's not enough. And I don't think that it's right. I think it needs to change, but unfortunately, I think a lot of people here have accepted that it just is what it is, and they're not doing a whole lot to change it. And when I take over, that's going to be one of the first things that I address on my list of many things. And I think that's it. So let me know what other cultural shocks you want me to talk about. You can give me ideas. I'm always open to covering different topics, new topics maybe that I haven't thought of, or share your experiences down below. If you enjoyed this video and got value out of it, please give this video a thumbs up, a like, drop me a comment down below, and definitely subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. To stay in touch with me on social media, you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram as Evolving with Stef. My social media links will be in the description of this video. And as always, stay curious, keep exploring, keep traveling, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.